Hey y'all, welcome back to Bourbon and Bones. As you can tell, we're not at a normal location. We are on site with my friend Phillip at his place. So, Phillip, why don't you introduce yourself?
This is Phillip. How's it going, everybody? We're today going to be hanging out, talking about beer, talking about bourbon, two things that I love. We're hanging out at Tap Savvy Craft Beer Bourbon Bar out in the suburbs west of Phoenix. Did I edit that out, right?
Yeah.
I think we could probably edit that out.
Not it.
Yeah. That's what happens, everybody, when you drink before you start the video. But I couldn't hold myself, so I had a beer before we started. Gonna shake the cobwebs off and get loose before the video so we can talk to some friends.
So tonight we're going to do something really fun for us. We're going to taste bourbon-aged beers, and then also taste the bourbon that it was aged in, at least the bourbon that came from the beers first, and kind of tell you what's going on with it. So what are we trying first?
All right, perfect. So I pulled this one out of the vault. This one's called, I didn't mean to do this, Reed, but it's called, this is made by Sky Brewing, and this is pulled out of their series called their Barrel Vault. Sky Brewing is out of Flagstaff, California. They've been around for a few years. Pretty popular brewery in Arizona. They make some really great beers. I've had some of their barrel-aged beers before. Really, really nice flavor. The one that I remember, which is not this one, I got a lot of chocolate, got a lot of coffee, nice boozy, bourbon-y flavor on the back end. So we'll see. I've had this one for over a year, and so we'll just see how it works out. I don't know what to expect. I hope it's still good. That's going to be important.
Well, it was aged in the Peach Street Distilling bourbon barrels out of Colorado. This was a gift from my buddy Derek and his dad, and so I haven't had this in a little while. Philip's never had this bourbon, so what we're going to do is taste a little bit of the beer, taste the bourbon, kind of see if we can taste some of those similarities, and just tell you how good the beer is for it. Let's find out.
All right, so a little bit about this beer. This is aged it's called a barrel-aged Imperial Stout. Imperial just meaning higher on the alcohol by volume. So this is aged for 12 months, like you said, Reed, in the Peach Street bourbon barrels. And some of the flavor profiles are added vanilla, Saigon cinnamon, and watermelon coffee roasted by ground control. 13% alcohol. I'm excited.
Let's try it.
Let's check it out. So I've had this for a little bit. We'll see how it works out. Nice black beer, maybe like a tingy brown color as it's coming out of the can. Try to shake it up and get some head out of it. Keep it in mind, we've had this beer. Not only did it age for 12 months in bourbon barrels before they put it in kegs and cans, I've had it in my personal vault for at least a year. So what are you smelling, Reeve?
Smelling.
I'm getting a lot of chocolate.
They have lots of really dark chocolate,
Yeah.
a little bit of coffee.
I want to say I'm smelling like caramel or... No, it's not caramel, it's maple. You get that maple out of
Lots
that?
of maple. Yeah. Tons of chocolate.
Yeah. I'm just going to jump right in. Yeah, so I think it held up pretty well in that can for over a year.
Yeah. Doesn't taste like it's gone bad, but it is spicy, like almost like Christmas spiciness.
Yeah, what is that? Saigon cinnamon. Maybe that's what you're
That's
getting.
probably what it is, yeah. It is very Christmas spiciness, chocolate and coffee.
Yeah, it says it has the vanilla added. I think more so than the vanilla flavor, I'm catching like the silkiness of the vanilla. If that makes
Definitely.
sense.
Yeah, more of the round flavor. I definitely can see why they call it, why they named it churro, because it is very much that cinnamon churro-y sweetness.
But are you tasting any bourbon in it?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, some of that caramely vanilla note might be from that, but I'm not entirely sure. Well, let's try the bourbon.
Tell me about this bourbon again.
So it is out of Colorado. So Colorado has a history of having a very plum note attached to it, very dark fruit. They tend to use rye that's a little bit more single malty, so kind of more Stranahan kind of.
Yeah. I'm getting a little bit of a little heat on the smell, not overbearing.
But they get a powerful rye flavor.
Yeah, I'm smelling corn. Maybe that's because I'm hungry. Yeah, I'm getting some rye in there too, for sure.
And a little bit of dark fruit, but I wouldn't go straight to the plum.
Yeah. Yeah, so at first, I want to say I was pleasantly surprised by the front end of this. And then on the back end, I'm tasting something and I can't put my finger on it. Are you getting some back end flavor? Or?
Yeah, it's a lot of, I get a lot of like older leather. Like how the barrel's really influenced it. It has a lot of really spicy leather quality.
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking that maybe some of the roundness of this beer is from that. From the barrel of it.
Yeah, I'm really, so I gotta be honest, I enjoy the bourbon more than something like this because of the sweetness. It's just so sweet. I think maple is one of those things they put a lot of nowadays in barrel-aged beers. But I don't know, man, I like a little bit of sweetness and a little more booze in my barrel-aged beers. So this one's a little more sweet and a little less on the boozy.
I agree. So I think the verdict that I'm hearing is that it's a good beer, but I think you're probably some better ones. Still like the bourbon though. I think it's a different approach to a really classic model that Kentucky and Tennessee is really good.
Yeah. What do you think about the color?
It's light. It's a lot lighter than I thought it would be, but there's a lot more flavor than its color.
Okay, without talking about price, if you were at the grocery store, what's would you pick one of these up or would you pick two of them up?
I'd pick two of them. I really like these. I think they have a great bourbon. Apparently their gin and their vodkas are also great, but I really like the bourbon. I think they're doing something kind of magical there. I would definitely do it.
Okay. Yeah, I think I need this in my collection. Is it easy to find? I don't know anything about it.
No, my buddy's dad picked it up in Colorado, so it might be local, only there. Maybe if they see this, they'll send us more bottles.
Yeah, we should. We need to be in on the taster. Yeah, absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely.
Well, let's move on to the next beer. All right, so Phillip, what is the next beer on the menu?
All right, I'm excited for this one, man. So this one's by one of our favorite breweries here in Phoenix called Oso. This is Moulin Rouge. Am I saying that right? I don't know.
Probably Moulin Rouge.
Moulin Rouge.
Joke off of the Moulin Rouge in Paris.
Yeah.
The Sommets.
All right, so this is a Belgian quad, aged 26 months in Buffalo Trace bourbon barrels, finished on walnuts, toasted coconut, and vanilla beans. So 26 months. It's ridiculous.
Okay.
Ridiculous.
So we're going to compare that to actual Buffalo Trace and see if we have any similarities. So one question is, why age beer in bourbon? What does that do to the stout?
Yeah. So first of all, like I'm not a brewer. You know, I've never made a bourbon barrel aged beer. I'm a novice home brewer at best, so I know enough about the process of making beer to be dangerous. But I've tasted a lot of beers and I've sold a lot of beers. So that being said, I would argue that it brings out the complexity in the flavor. You're going to get some oak flavor, some wood. You can get a little bit of the booziness come through of the bourbon. And there is no bourbon in this liquid. It's just the flavor coming out of the oak barrel. So, yeah.
All right. Well, let's pour them out and see what happens.
Let's do that. And I will say, this beer is not to be played with. It is to be taken seriously at 17.4% ABV. So, I hope you have it in there. Or a designated drive. Because I live close enough to walk. Let's see what we have. What do you think about that color? I see some brown. Yeah. I'm seeing some like really, really dark brown, or it almost looks like there's some tan color on top of like really black motor oil liquid in there.
Really unfiltered as well.
Yeah. I'm excited. I cannot hold my excitement back.
It smells a lot more like the inside of a beer.
I'm still picking up a lot of sweet though.
Mm-hmm. Definitely nuts. Very nutty.
So without trying to describe any of the flavors that I'm getting after my first taste, I'll just say that that is a fantastic, complex beer. Sweet, but not overpowering.
And has a ton of dessert lightness to it, but it still has a little bit of that caramel bourbon, something with a bit of mint that evolves. I mean, it's this huge evolution. That's a really impressive beer.
Yeah, this one's really nice. So I think the important question here, aged for 26 months in Buffalo Trace bourbon barrels, are you tasting any bourbon? And if yes, are you tasting Buffalo Trace bourbon?
Let's find out.
All right, let me take one more of the beer because I can't hold myself back. Ooh, that is so good.
The nose, I'm still smelling some of those, like the vanilla and the caramel, that you're getting right off as well.
Oh yeah. I don't think my nose is sophisticated enough to say this beer smells like this bourbon or the other way around. I'm not there. I definitely smell some booziness in the beer, and this one has some heat, just like I would expect out of a nice bourbon, but not overpowering heat. I don't know. This may look weird on camera when I smell my bourbon because I stick my whole honker in there and just try to inhale. To me, I gotta be honest, that's like one of the best parts of drinking bourbon for me is the sensation that it gives my nose when I smell it and then when I breathe it as I'm drinking.
Yeah. I mean, 80% of really tasting anything is through your nose.
That's really
Of course,
nice.
that might be 90%.
Because I smell it 6 or 7 times before I consume it.
But even then, there's like this caramel pepperiness that I definitely got in the beer as well. I think there's a huge influence from this bourbon into this beer.
Yeah. I love, like I'm fascinated by the color though. It's almost like when you're looking at it from this angle, it's like from the bottom of the glass to about 1/8 of an inch from the top of where the liquid stops. That last part is like brown. So it almost looks like there's a color change going on in the glass.
Oil and water sitting there.
Yeah, so I guess the takeaway, visually, it's very complex beer as well. Into the nose, very complex, very almost silky when I'm smelling it. Silky smooth.
It's also silky on palate. It's very easy drinking beer, which also makes it a very dangerous beer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
Buffalo Trace. I think it's an easy drinking bourbon, and 90 proof is in the same boat of going. It's easy to drink and it's a little dangerous.
90 proof. Come on, man. I wake up and brush my teeth at 90 proof. Come on, Reed.
Well, it's better than Scotch. I think.
That's true.
Don't hate me in the comments.
Scotch is a different show, though. Oh, this is really nice. I can sit by the pool and drink 4 of these just like this over the course of 2 hours. This, on the other hand, is not a poolside beer.
But I really think there is a huge influence. I'm really tasting a lot of those Buffalo Trace notes in it with an incredible beer behind it.
What did you say the proof was on the Buffalo Trace?
90.
So I will say that, when I taste it, it tastes to me closer to 100.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that is. Maybe not quite 100. Like, it's not quite at that Wild Turkey 101 level.
Right.
Which is my favorite bourbon. For $20 or below. Yeah, you can taste some heat on it. It's really nice.
Yeah, it's got a nice ethanol background. For sure.
Are you saying it's got a little bit of gasoline flavor? I love that term to describe my bourbon. I love a little gasoline flavor in my bourbon. People look at me crazy when I say that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Phillip, verdict on our second beer, our second bourbon. Would you pick these up again? Pick up a couple of 3 of them?
Yeah, so I've got to be honest, I've got 3 or 4 of these left in my personal collection. I may get a little funky and pull them out, sell a couple, keep a couple, give one, who knows. But that is a fantastic beer. Even though we have some here for sale, if I were to go to Oso Brewing and see those available for sale, I'd buy as many as I could. Just because it's a fantastic beer.
I would too. I think it's an incredible beer, aged in a staple of bourbon.
Yeah.
And yeah, absolutely.
So what are your thoughts? Any final thoughts on the bourbon barrel aged imperial stout from Dark Sky Brewing?
So I think for the Dark Sky, it is a really unique beer, but I think the complexity is going to be stolen by the Oso.
Yeah.
I think the Colorado, again, I think both of these, actually pair really well together in the fact that they're very unique. It's a unique beer, a very unique bourbon, and over here you have exactly what you want a good, staple bourbon to be, and just an incredible beer to be. I think it's a better combination.
Do you think one day I can be as cool as you with like a bow tie like that?
Maybe next time we'll dress you up.
Yeah.
All right.
We were joking earlier that I knew we were going to do this, and I'm wearing my pajamas. This is how I dress every day. It's all good. Yeah, so I must say, I love Dark Sky Brewing. I love their beer. Some of the best IPAs around. Great brewery from Flagstaff, Arizona. This one's a little bit sweet for me, and I think maybe I've had it for over a year in the can. It may have been in the can for a little bit too long because I thought maybe it was a little bit flat. Not the fault of the brewery. That's my fault for keeping the beer so long. But I was just so excited about it. I couldn't bring myself to open it up and try it. But this is a special occasion with bourbon and bones.
And for all special occasions, we should always be sharing things. So, like always, like, share, subscribe, comment below. Always happy to hear from you all. And if you ever have an opportunity in the West Valley of Phoenix, come visit Tap 7. It's a pretty cool place. And so, as always, share bourbon with someone. Good night.
And a beer. Cheers.